If you've been listening to the pod, you know I'm marking my calendar for the big sale from Last Bottle Wines, one of our wonderful sponsors. If you don't already know, they're a Napa-based online wine shop that offers 30 to 70% off retail. And the best part, there's no subscriptions, no fees, and no minimum purchase, just a daily email with really great wine. And as I mentioned, they're having a massive sale. Their marathon sale is coming up on March 28th and 29th. They flip that one wine per day rule on its head and instead offer back-to-back, two-back deals. That means wines are only up on the site for a couple minutes at a time. We got a preview order with the mini marathon package of some of their favorites, and I'm telling you, it's a sale you want to get in on. And the best part is we're offering Dateable listeners 10% off your first order with code DATEABLE. Sign up at lastbottlewines.com and use the code DATEABLE and find out why Last Bottle is the most fun way to discover and buy amazing wine. As you know, I recently left my corporate job and I've been in total recovery mode, all about self-care. One of my new routines is the nighttime shower before bed. There's just something about washing away the day and that reflection that's been super helpful for me. I've been using one of our partners, Osea's Mega Moisture Duo. This combo body oil and body lotion are so freaking incredible. It literally feels like I'm at a spa. I realized that the secret is seaweed and other skin level ingredients that are normally reserved for face products. And that's why I was so excited when Osea became one of our partners. And, you know, we're so grateful for partners like this because one, they keep the show going, but they're also super good for all of our listeners and for our own well-being. So if you want to have that nighttime bliss like I am doing, you can get 10% off your first order site-wide with code DATEABLE at oseamalibu.com. You'll get free samples with every order and free shipping on orders over $60. So head to oseamalibu.com and use the code DATEABLE for 10% off. Let us know which products you end up going with. Share them in social. Super excited to see what you end up choosing.
The Dateable podcast features real stories from real people of how they make modern dating work, or not. I'm your host, Yue, former dating coach turned dating insider, if you will. On each episode, you'll hear commentary from my producer, Julie Kraftchick, and other surprise co-hosts.
This episode is brought to you by Making Ways. Making Ways is a podcast that shares the unexpected paths to creative careers. Just like we hear stories about people's journey to finding love, Making Ways shares people's journey to finding a career they love. You can find the podcast on iTunes, SoundCloud, Spotify, and all major podcast apps, or visit makingways.co to learn more.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Dateable, a show all about modern dating. Have you ever thought about the way you date and the way you view dating really has to do with where you are? And sometimes we kind of date in a bubble if you think about it. Have you ever stepped out of San Francisco or California or the US and saw how the rest of the world dates? And it's just a lot different, isn't it? So today we're going to talk about some of those differences with our guest, Quino. Hello. Hey. What's up?
Hey.
I'm going to give you a little background on Quino first. He is 30 years old, originally from the Philippines, and he's been in San Francisco for 10 years. Now, he wrote in to us and said, guys, I grew up in the Philippines. I'm used to this traditional type of dating. He's been in all these long-term monogamous relationships. You were actually engaged for a few years as well, right?
Yes, 2 years.
2 years. And now you're dating in the U.S., this whole dating multiple people and using all these dating apps. You're just clueless about what it's like to date here, not just in modern times, but also in this culture. So I want to learn more about you dating in the Philippines. What does that mean when you say a traditional style of dating? Because for some of us, you know, some of our listeners have never done the traditional dating before.
Right. Yeah. Well, I guess growing up, we didn't really call it dating. It's more like courting. So all your focus is basically on one person, and usually that person will be the one like you're gonna marry. Basically.
Wait, hold up. One person at a time, and then you're going to marry them. This is all foreign. to us.
Yes, it's one person at a time. And yes, I feel like now it's very different though. Like, the Philippines is very Americanized. I'm sure now there's so many like people like just dating around. A lot of expats live there too, so I'm sure that culture translates really quickly to the Philippines.
But, so you were there 10 years ago, or were you
no,
anywhere before?
So I grew up there in the Philippines up to high school, and then I moved to Indonesia for 2 years, where I started college, and then after that, I moved to China in Shanghai for a year.
Wow, so you're super international. I would say Asia is probably one of the last cultures to adopt this modern dating sort of culture, because even talking to my cousins, all of them were doing this traditional dating up until maybe 5-6 years ago, where they date one person at a time, and the whole purpose of dating is to find someone to marry.
Yep.
That's all changed, obviously, and that has not been the case in the US for a while now. When were you first exposed to westernized dating?
I guess recently when my ex broke up with me, I just didn't know what to do. Like, I mean, I knew of the online dating apps, but I've never tried it. And it was also weird because like it was kind of taboo, I guess, growing up. Like, yeah, don't do that. It's just for hooking up and all of that stuff. But I feel like now it's like the norm in the city. Like you don't really meet people outside anymore. It's just all through the apps.
I've had this sort of wanting to write a screenplay about an alien that comes down to Earth to date for the first time, and just being like, why are we still messaging hello? Why are we still online? Why can't we see each other in person? Like, what's the holdup? So that's one of the main complaints we hear about modern dating. But then I would throw it back at you and say, well, you were traditional dating for so long. You were engaged. None of those worked out. Do you think that had anything to do with the changing culture of dating, or was it just the way it was?
I think it was just the way it was. My past relationships before my last one were all long distance relationships because I was moving around so much. And, those didn't work for obvious reasons. And I think my last one, she was also Filipina. And I think she kind of felt like she was missing out. I think that was one of the reasons why she broke up with me. Like, she felt like we were just like together for so long. We grew up together. And
what else is out there?
I mean, there's definitely like a cultural side, but I think there's that even for people that have been in the U.S. that just happen to be in a lot of long-term relationships. And grass is always greener. I want to see what else is out there.
Well, that's the thing with modern dating is that we have more access to more people now. Right. Back in the day, you only had your neighbors. And it's like, okay, I already dated those 2 neighbors. Now the third one.
And the apps are illusion because it feels like there's just so many people out there and
abundance.
Whatnot.
It's too easy. Too easy to get tempted.
Before you moved to the U.S., did you hear anything about dating in the U.S.? What were you expecting?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I sort of knew how dating was here. I mean, based on like just what I see in movies and all that stuff.
What movies did you base it off of?
All the cheesy movies.
Well, like my Chinese relatives, they think American dating is just having sex. Like they just picture orgies and nonstop sex.
Isn't it a little?
Maybe at Burning Man, yes.
Well, but what's on the movies?
Yeah, it's all the movies. Yeah, they're my grandparents are always like, Americans are so horny. They always say that to me. Like, Americans are very horny. So when you say dating multiple women, what an interesting concept. How weird. Why is that so weird to you?
I think I'm a very like loyal person, and I feel like if I date more than one person, I feel like I'm cheating on on one of them. Like even though I guess we're not officially together, or
probably because from like an early age it was like one person focus.
Yeah, I mean, like, growing up, my parents, they were each other's firsts. So like growing up, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna find the perfect girl. She's gonna be my first. She's gonna be my last, and it's like kind of like the goal.
Do you feel like you need to date multiple people in the U.S.? Is there something that's driving you to do that?
No, I don't think so. I still don't do it. When I date someone, I just focus on that person.
Wow.
I try to, even though, I get ghosted a lot and all that stuff. But you know, when something clicks, I definitely just focus on that one person.
Even though you know that they're probably dating other people.
Yes.
Huh, okay.
Yes. Like I hear about people from this podcast dating,
Yeah.
having multiple dates in one night. I'm just like, I can't do that.
Yeah.
Like,
I know.
It's tiresome, yeah. It's
yeah, and I
effort.
feel like if I'm dating someone for like the night, I want to spend as much time as possible to get to know that person.
So do you tell the people that you're dating that you're not someone that like likes to date around? Like, have you ever had those conversations with them?
Sort of. I'm pretty open to the fact that I'm new to dating, so I always tell them that. You know, I'm very straightforward. Like, you know, I just got out of this relationship, but you know, I'm looking for something serious, something real.
That's great.
Yeah.
How do girls respond to that?
I mean, from the few dates that I've been, I think they appreciated it. I think honesty is definitely the best way to go.
I personally really appreciate that because
Totally.
I can't even count how many times I've come back from a date and asked my girlfriends, I'm not sure if he's looking for something serious.
Right.
And I hear from my girlfriends all the time too, right? I don't know what he's looking for. But it's nice that you put that up front. And if the girl's not looking for what you're looking for, then she'll probably just weed herself out.
Yeah, exactly. And it's been tough. Like I mentioned that I'm straightforward about, you know, I just got out of this long-term relationship. And it's a little unfair because they seem to like think that, oh, wait, you're not ready yet. Oh, you haven't gone on that much dates. Maybe you should date more people first. Someone actually told that to me.
When did you get out of this last relationship?
February of last year.
So a year.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess it depends on your own comfort level.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think everyone's different. You know, everyone moves on in a different way. Some people, it takes them years to get over someone.
Yep.
Some people, maybe just months. I feel like you never really know when, like, I don't think a switch just goes on and you're like, okay, I'm ready now. You know,
No.
like,
Right.
you just like have to move on and just like start going on dates and like figure out and yeah, just go from there. But I feel like it's unfair when, you know, I go on these dates and they're like, I don't know if you're ready yet, you know, like maybe you should just date more people first.
Like dating around's the norm.
And then
it's
they
weird
disappear.
that you don't want to do
Yeah.
it.
See, I get the sense that you're probably uber serious on dates. Like, I get the sense that you come off as a guy who's going to do all the things that I personally would want, but then feel like this is real, right? Because it's so abnormal in some ways. And I can see, because I've actually said this to someone before, thinking, okay, you just got a relationship a year ago, it's a serious relationship, and now you're looking for something serious again. Are you just a serial monogamist? Are you just looking for someone to fill the void versus are you really trying to look for someone?
I mean, I don't think I'm that serious. I mean, I try to have fun, you know. It's like, you know, when you go on dates, you want to act like you're just trying to get to know a new friend. So that's how I go about it. You know, when questions are, you know, asked, you know, I just answer them straightforward. Like, you know, what are you looking for? I'm looking for something serious, you know, and I just go with it.
I think it comes back to online, though, is like there's so many reasons why people are online dating that like your sample size is not that big. So like you were saying, yeah, that would be awesome to find someone like that. Maybe you just haven't found those girls yet that are like, this is awesome.
That's probably true, yeah.
So when you wrote into us, you said, I'm totally clueless about dating in San Francisco. I'm having all these problems. I'm not getting as many dates. List out all the problems you're having and let's hash it out.
Okay. Well, first of all, I'm not getting any matches. Maybe I get one a month. That's like nothing, I think, compared to like what I've been hearing.
How many apps are you on?
A lot.
Okay.
Basically all of them. You know, Bumble, I've never gone on a date on Bumble. My best date was from Tinder, which is weird, I think. But yeah, I've been maybe on like 5 or 6 dates. Now I took a little break. Like I deleted all of them. But
Oh, the cycle.
yeah, the cycle. But yeah, I mean, when I was active, I was very active. Like, you know, every day I would swipe.
Okay.
You know, it came to a point where actually I think it was about the time where I wrote in. I was so frustrated. Like, I was just like watching TV and swiping, like without even looking. And I got maybe one match from that.
Okay.
I've heard other men complain about this too. And like, I been like using the apps again, and I wouldn't like, it's obviously as a woman you get more in general, but I see a noticeable difference from a couple years ago when I was on them. And I think like not even just matches, like people messaging, and I think that a lot of it's just like fatigue of them too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and also some people are just not meant to be on apps. You might just be that guy. You know, I feel like you're the type of guy who's going to meet someone through an introduction, through a friend of a friend, through a coworker. I think the apps are just so quick and simple that it's just, it doesn't feed your needs at all. Okay, so problem number 1, no matches, lack of matches. Problem number 2.
I guess the first dates, and a few dates that went to like a second or third date, but nothing more than that, except for my last one, which is in a weird limbo. Yeah, it's more of like, yeah, I go on these first and second dates, and I try to, get to know them. And I guess the chemistry is usually not there.
Why do you say you guess?
I feel like I always, like when I, reach out to these women, I feel like I always have to reach out first. Like if I don't text them, they're not going to text at all. And, most of them, they just end up just like ghosting me, like just not texting back.
I mean, I know texting probably wasn't a thing when you lived in the Philippines and Asia, but like,
it was a thing, yeah.
Okay, but
yeah.
Did you experience that there? Like, did you experience women being as reactive as they are here, or how you perceive it here?
I think so. I mean, texting is pretty big there in Asia. I mean, my exes, like, they would, when we were still dating, they would text me a lot. And
do they ghost in Asia?
I don't think so. Probably now a lot of ghosting happens, but back then I think like when you pick someone and that girl like agrees to go out with you, I think she's already agreed to like be with you forever.
Interesting.
Pretty much.
But also back in the day, there was accountability. You're being introduced by a mutual party. So if they screw you over, then, the word gets back to whoever set you up. Like now there's no accountability.
Bob on Tinder, who cares?
Yeah, who
I'm never
cares?
gonna see him again.
They're not a real person, really, until you meet them. And then when you meet them, it's like, well, we have no mutual friends.
Right.
I can do whatever I want.
I can be like,
I can be an asshole.
And no one's going to find out.
So you're experiencing the lack of accountability when it comes to dating. Okay. Why do you think I'm going back to what you said. I'm guessing that chemistry was not there. When you say that statement, is it because someone said that to you or you're just making an assumption?
I'm making an assumption, but I feel like, I mean, personally, I think chemistry just doesn't happen like immediately. Mm-hmm. I'm sure for most people, like, once you start talking, you feel it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think for a lot of other people, chemistry happens over time because you're still trying to get to know the person. Sometimes in the first or second dates, they're not as open. And then, they, slowly warm up to you, slowly be more open. And then you realize your similarities and all that stuff on like the fourth or fifth date. Mm-hmm. And I mean, usually it doesn't get to that point.
So how was it with your exes, like when you were more singular focused? Did you feel that chemistry or did it build over time?
I think it was a mix. It was a mix of both. A few of them, they were my friends first. So we already knew each other. And I think, that's also like one of the good things about, being with someone who you are friends with first.
Yeah.
Because you know that person and how the person is, and you just accept that person for who he or she is. So
yeah, there's something, God, I keep thinking about this. If you're on a date with someone where you know them sort of, or you have a mutual friend, the dynamic on that date is so different than coming cold and knowing nothing about them.
Definitely.
And I feel like maybe your demeanor when you come in cold is probably so different than how you would normally act on like a date with someone you have some sort of comfort level with. So that's probably another issue too. It's like coming in cold with a perfect stranger. What other issues are you experiencing?
Yeah, I think when I do get matches in the apps, like women seem like, I mean, in my experience, women seem very cold. Like I try to get like conversation going, try to get to know the person first, so we at least have something to talk about on the actual date. Mm-hmm. But then it's just like more of just like a yes or no like answer, and nothing continues.
Isn't that so funny? There's like this whole guilty until proven innocent mentality when it comes to online dating. Women experience the same thing.
Yeah.
If I'm talking to someone and I make the first connection, first piece of communication, somehow the other person feels like I'm putting them on a pedestal and I'm trying to get their affection and get them to like me and get them to ask me questions. So that I'm like feeding into their ego. There's something really weird about that. Like you're trying to prove yourself to these people that you haven't met.
Well, I think like a lot of this, I mean, I'd be curious to ask you more about just like other things besides online that you've done. But like, I think a lot of this is just general online dating. And I think some of it's like coming, I know it's probably coming just like to you as like a total culture shock.
Yeah.
Because you've never really dated before. I think a lot of this is like stuff that even people that have been dating years and years would probably say. Like none of this is like, oh my God, this is so unique to you. That should hopefully give you some hope.
We hear this over and over again. Your skin is just not thick enough.
Yeah.
I think some of it goes back to just like, is it a natural way to meet someone? I've done a lot of online dating, but all my significant relationships have been just in person, just organic, over time, something just happening. Like, have you tried like doing any social events that you can meet people? Like what's been outside of online app experience?
Yeah, I've gone to a couple of meetups, and they were pretty fun. I just like recently, just like after that, I just got really busy from work, and it's just like when you're busy, it's just too easy to go to the apps. And like, I'm also not the type of person who would just go out at bars and like just
approach women.
Yes, it's. I'm just not that type. It's weird for me. I mean, I probably need to learn how to do that. But yeah, most of my exes are the girls I meet from common friends or.
And I'm guessing they've known you over time, and then that attraction grows over time.
I think it's an interesting thing that you said though, that I don't have time, so I go to the apps.
Yeah.
But then you also know the apps don't work that well
exactly.
for you. So is it worth assessing like if that's the right time allocation, I guess?
Yeah, that's very true. I mean, for me, the apps don't work, but I feel like there's a lot of successful relationships through the apps.
Totally.
It only takes one.
It does.
Even though you swipe out of like a million people, it just takes one.
What are you looking for?
I'm looking for something real. Like, I think I'm ready. Like, I was engaged and I was ready then. I definitely hurt a lot after that relationship. After that, I've definitely learned so much about myself and what I actually want from a person. That I think, I'm just ready for the next thing. I would like to go on more dates to get to know more people. But yeah, that's the end game.
I'm just gonna play fake psychologist for one quick second because
you're really qualified.
Because I'm really qualified, you guys. I got my certification from Udemy. The sense I get from you, Quino, is that you're still healing, and the women with their comments about like, I don't know if you're ready. Part of me feels that way, and I'm not saying you're healing from that last relationship. It's compounded healing. I feel like you haven't specifically addressed some of the hurt you felt in the past to move on, which is hurting your self-esteem. And that's what I'm feeling from you. It's like there's a little part of you that you're not willing to give yet. And you're holding back a little bit. And if I were on a date with you, I would feel like, gosh, he's hard to read. I'm not sure if he's looking to fill a void or he's actually wanting a relationship. That's the sense I get, right? That's what Udemy would tell me to tell you. But that's enough of my little like fake psychologist. But I do want to say though, for anyone who's feeling this frustration, we hear it all the time, this dating fatigue from apps. You can't put all your eggs in one basket. Yeah. And that's what happens a lot of times. You're like, you default to these apps. It's easy to do. It's accessible. But at the same time, it's going to frustrate you. It's going to hurt you. And it just makes you hate it even more.
Like, did you have a lot of time between? Like, I know you've had a lot of long relationships. Like, what's been like the timeline before the next one?
It's usually within a year. Sometimes less.
So you're coming up on that year. You're like,
I'm coming up on that year.
What do you think of what Yue just said?
No, I think you're pretty spot on, like what women feel. And I think, you're definitely not wrong about like what my current situation is. I mean, I can't like I can't say like what I feel right now. Like, I mean, I'm sure it's partly true that maybe I'm still hurting, and I think I agree with that for sure. I mean, at the same time, it is unfair, when I go on these dates and women feel that way, that they just like push me away just because of that reason. It's not like we're gonna get married next month or anything. I mean, we can still get to know each other. I feel like when you're trying to heal or get over someone, you don't need to do it by yourself. It's all about the in between, like who helps you, like your friends, maybe the next person helps you get over it.
I do think there is a little bit of danger to think about, I don't need to do this healing process by myself. I'm looking for someone to help me. That's fine, but I think it does come from within. And from one of our season finale episodes, our guest Dave said, after his divorce, so he went through a heartbreaking divorce. He worked on himself for a year, and in that year, he didn't stop dating. It's not like, you just cut it cold turkey, but he was dating to find himself, not to hop on that next relationship. But through dating and through therapy in that year, he found himself. And I would say we could all do this in our healing process, is to focus inward. Yeah. What can I do to improve how I'm feeling right now? Because you're obviously not happy with the state of things. What can you, because you can only control yourself. You can't control other people.
Right. You can't control the fact that the culture here is dating multiple people, using apps. Like, that's just the reality that we're in.
That's the reality we're in, but also set some standards for yourself. If women are cold to you, if someone's cold to you on an app, stop talking to them. Right. You're not there trying to please them, right? You're not trying to earn their interest.
True, yeah.
So you got to set some higher expectations and standards for yourself, and also diversify how you're meeting people. Yeah. Here's one way to diversify is through this podcast. We're going to pimp you out.
Yeah, nice.
Anybody who wants to meet Quino, let us know. He's a good-looking young man. But also, I really think you're the type of guy, and we've talked about this on so many episodes, some people just do so much better face-to-face over time. Yep. So I always say, join a group where you're exposed to the same person, same people week after week. Yeah. Because then those emotions and attraction develops over time.
Yeah, I know about myself that I'm good in small groups, big events, I'm not that great in. So I try to find activities that are more smaller group oriented to meet people.
Yeah, no, I think, I definitely agree. David, right, his name. I think I'm going through the same journey. I've done a lot to kind of fix myself, trying to find myself and what I really want. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I don't stop dating, but I'm always in this mindset wherein, whoever I'm dating at the moment could be the one. Mm-hmm. And I'm not gonna overlook that and be I'm just gonna date more people until I find myself, right. There's no end to that. You can spend your whole life finding yourself. Mm-hmm. But yeah, in my mindset is, this person can be the one, and I'm, gonna put all my efforts to this person, assuming it works out.
I think that's really great, though, and I don't think, Yue said, she would be, or, I would, too. Both of us would be, really into someone like that. So I think it's, again, just, finding the people that agree with you on that. I wouldn't say, all of a sudden you should go be serial dating everyone and doing all this stuff, but it's probably, a combination of just blaming the external, but then also, staying true to yourself at the same time.
I would also say that I like the mentality of the glass is half full. I like that. So coming into a date thinking this could be the one, this person could be the one is great. But at the same time, you got to think to yourself, what are some of those qualities that would make someone the one? Instead of going, okay, everybody could be the one, you have to think, what is that feeling? What is the last time I felt like someone could be the one? What are those feelings I want to get? And what are those qualities I'm really looking for? Because then that helps you filter the date too. I can see sometimes when you want something to work out, you could be on a not so great date and be
Right.
like, oh, okay, I think this could work out. I think this could be the one still.
Or be really disappointed if they're not the one.
And you're setting yourself up for disappointment. That's really dangerous.
Especially when you've never even met the person. Like, there's just so many variables of like that first online date isn't even really a first date.
Yeah,
when you think
exactly.
about it.
Yeah.
It's shocking to me how many times Julie and I will meet men just like you who are having a hard time dating, and we're both like, why? Like, I don't understand, because all of our girlfriends would say they're looking for someone like you, but there's a mismatch.
Like,
why are you
aren't
guys
finding
not
each other,
finding each other?
It's time to take a quick break so we can tell you about the latest service we have been building over at DATEABLE. DATEABLE is teaming up with Hired Club to provide headshots for your dating profiles. You'll get a fully professional experience with makeup, styling, lighting, and more. Visit dateablepodcast.com/coaching for more details.
What's your age range that you're filtering for?
Oh, I'm from like 24 to 36. Like,
Okay,
so
pretty
you got a
wide
pretty
range.
big
yeah, I mean,
range.
it's I don't like age is a number for me.
Kids, no kids, does it matter?
I don't know, actually. I mean, I've never thought about it. You know, I've never dated anyone with kids. I mean, I'm open to that. I mean, it's like what you said. At the end of the day, it's just like getting to know a friend. I mean, worst case, maybe you turn out to be friends or not. I don't know, but after that, at the end of the day, you learn more about yourself and what you want.
So to turn it back to different cultures, because I am still very interested in that. Do you have friends to date that are living in Asia or anywhere else, and what do they say about dating?
So I haven't talked to much friends lately in Asia, but it's kind of gone to that westernized route now. Especially my friends who are still dating. Now it's more normal to just like date multiple people. But yeah, I still have some friends who are married or are still with the person who they're first dated with, like their first person.
But they probably met them a long time ago.
Before apps and all that.
It's like, I actually met this girl from Barcelona, and she didn't even know that I do this podcast or anything. And she just started talking about dating. And literally everything she said was like about how Tinder like has like given all the people all these options and like all this stuff. And I'm like, it literally sounds like all the complaints we hear here. It's like, we obviously need more data points than just these couple people, but it's like really fascinating that we keep hearing like that it isn't that different in different places.
I think it's totally almost the same in China, but there's expat dating and local dating.
Yeah.
And expat dating is affecting the way locals date.
Exactly.
And you'll see it all the time. You see these expats come in. When I lived in Beijing, they would start luring, all these expat men would lure the local women. And then the local women are like, wait, I can date you, but I don't have to marry you? Perfect. I'm going to date a local and an expat. And then that influenced the local men to think, oh, if you're dating an expat and me, then I can date multiple women myself.
Interesting.
So it's definitely funneled down to local dating. But you don't hear as many complaints because it's still so new.
It's
so
probably like
it's
we
exciting.
were talking about earlier, like when Tinder first came out, you were getting tons of matches and tons of messages. It was like really fun. So they probably haven't hit that like burnout stage.
They haven't burnt
now.
out yet. My cousin, my female cousin, she's like 6'1". She's really tall, especially for a Chinese girl. So when she was dating, this was like 10 years ago, she had absolutely no options.
Right.
So anybody that was presented to her, she was like, okay, this will do. He's just about as tall as me. That's fine. And her whole, like my whole family was worried about her. They're like, do we need to ship her out to like the West to find someone? But nowadays she's like, if I were dating in today's time, I would have so many options.
Well, that's the flip side. That's the benefit of all this like technology and online dating. Like you don't have to just rely on whoever your circle is or who you come in contact with. You meet people that wouldn't be in that circle.
Yeah. But I don't think, again, it's not so much the location, it's the mindset within that location.
Totally.
And in the US, we're experiencing this major burnout and everyone's complaining about the exact same things. But like you said, people are still meeting each other off the apps. It still happens.
Yeah,
Well,
it
like
still
you said,
happens.
it just takes one. It's like you might
Yeah,
have
it
to
just
just
takes
go
one.
through a bunch of shitty dates or like bullshit to find that person.
And I don't want to sound like a broken record, but we've also talked about this a lot. your dating life is also affected by all the other aspects of your life too.
For sure. Yeah.
So it does help to sit down and think about my personal life, my family, my career. How is that funneling into my dating life, and how are they interrelated too, right? Even if all of a sudden tomorrow America woke up and said, we're going back to traditional ways of dating, there are no more apps, they're banned, people freak out. Like you were saying, if you're super serious on a date, people freak out. They're like,
well, it's the mentality shift. I think there's some of it's app, but then there's also just like the change of like women in the workplace. Like not like we were talking about earlier, like the men would court the women and they would get married, but like now women don't necessarily need men financially anymore. So there's just a lot of dynamics that are changing that like some are apps, but some really aren't. It's just day and age.
There's definitely more independence, for sure. You know, in growing up in the Philippines, like I guess women are a little bit more dependent to men. And so all these texts, you know, every single minute of the day happens. But now women are just independent. Like what I said, like I usually contact them first before they even text me back. So like if I don't text them, they're never going to text me back.
We got to find a happy medium, because if a girl texts too much, she's fucking crazy. And then if she doesn't text enough, she's too cold. Like what is a happy medium? I had a friend that went to Shanghai on a break. He was there on vacation, met a girl, Shanghainese girl. They started dating for that week he was there. One day we went out to lunch for an hour. When we came out of that lunch, he has 73 text messages from her. And I said, how do you feel about that? He goes, it feels good to be wanted.
Well, I think it all comes back. I think it all comes back to if you're into that person, then anything is amazing. And if you're not, then you're not.
That's true. Yeah, definitely. But, you know, if you weren't into her, you're like, this girl's batshit crazy.
But I think, like, it really, like, the middle ground is, like, when you find that person, all that, shit goes out the window.
Yeah, no, I have to agree with your friend. Like, it's nice to feel wanted. And I think that kind of stems from, like, my past relationships wherein they were a little bit more dependent on me. So I would get all these texts, and I'm fine with that because, you know, that's what I'm here for, you know?
But there's also, like, the rules and, like, all these, like, bad books that Western women have gotten like, don't text first because he'll lose interest.
3-day rule.
Like, all this stuff. So, like, I think there is some of that. And, like, that's not, like, the only reason if a woman's not texting you back, but there is some of that they might be interested, but they're, like, not wanting to, like, show all their cards. Or
I think the overarching theme, though, because, you know, we're kind of talking about, like, if you're looking for a serious relationship for marriage, but in Europe, right, women are independent. They don't necessarily look for marriage. It's not like, you know, the main thing they're looking for. They have the same complaints about modern dating because it's the uncertainty of modern dating. It's the being in limbo, like the word you used earlier. It's the, I don't know if he's into me. I don't know what we are. I don't know if we're going to hang out Saturday. I don't know if she's going to flake on me again.
Yeah.
It's that uncertainty that's the overarching theme, regardless of whether you're looking for marriage or not. And that goes back to accountability.
Yeah, I mean, uncertainty for sure. But at the same time, if you don't do anything, nothing's going to happen. So might as well you go for that. And if you don't get it, then at least you know that you tried and it's not going to happen. As opposed to just like waiting and staying there and, you know, uncertainty, okay, I'll just not do anything. And then you just like lost a chance.
Totally.
Yeah, you still have to do something. Yeah. Otherwise, you're just alone.
So what are some of our takeaways?
So many. So many takeaways. Let's move to the Philippines.
Well, 10 years ago.
10 years ago. Let's travel back in time.
Yeah.
It's still amazing to go to. The beaches are amazing, so I recommend that.
Oh, yeah, I need to go to the Philippines so bad. So some of my takeaways would be, one, every time you are feeling dating fatigued, just know that there's a million other people who are echoing your thoughts as well. So you're not alone in this. 2 is, whenever you feel like you're in a lull with dating, look inward first. Think about, like, what are some aspects of my life I can improve, and what are some what's the healing process that I'm in right now? What can I do to work on myself more? And then 3, I would say it's all about this, like, this having standards. I say it all the time, but it's like, we got to filter better. We really got to filter better on the apps, online, and also in person. When you're on a date with someone, it's not your goal to get them to like you. It's your goal to get to know them. Those are 2 very different things. So we got to have better and higher standards for that.
Totally agree.
Takeaways?
Yeah, so many.
So many.
I think you should keep doing what you're doing by pursuing someone and like going all in with someone, because there's something really like beautiful about that. For the right person will give you the edge up over these people that are more like loosey-goosey and not like really locking it down and doing stuff. So I think there is something about that art of chivalry and like pursuing, and what was the word you used? Like courting. I know it's like a forgotten word, but that was like a big thing back in the day. And I think there's something really nice about that. And like looking back on that too, like when you're in a relationship, like thinking about those early stages, like it's really like part of the whole relationship. So I think people should do that more. Like, I don't think that you should do it less. But I do think like the reality is like even in the Philippines, even in China, like this shit's happening. So it's like, how do we deal with it? Like complaining about it, and not that you are complaining about it, but just like, you know what I mean? Like sitting there and being like, oh, I don't want to be on any app, or I don't want to be doing any of this. Like that's only going to get you so far either.
Yes. Keep doing the romantic things, the gestures that you're doing, but make sure you're getting the response you're getting that you want to get versus pursuing blindly.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think the putting all eggs in one basket, like I would try to find more ways to meet female friends and let it evolve, because that's like, you know that about yourself, and you know that's how your past relationships started. Yeah, you shouldn't turn off every app. Like you said, it only takes one and it's worth keeping, but it shouldn't be like the only thing either.
Yes, definitely. Definitely. Do you do yoga by chance?
I've been wanting to.
Oh, you should
gold mine.
You should turn it into a New Year's resolution. All women, but also working on breathing, working on meditation, working on yourself.
Like we know a lot of friends. This is something I would never do because I'm not a morning person and a super athlete. But like we have like November Project is like a lot of our friends have met significant others through there, because it's like they all work out together. They all like meet each other. It's the same people. Like consistently, so it's like finding what that is. Like that's not my thing, but like someone else that could be their thing.
Yeah, I think it's just like what Dave did on his episode. He said he just tried out all these different things. He tried like a rec sports league.
Right.
You know, you just push yourself out of your comfort zone and try things that you're like, I kind of want to try it, but I'm kind of scared to try it too. The reason why I say yoga would be so great for you is because I get the sense that you're a sensitive person as well. And I get the sense that you want to meet a girl who's like in touch with her feelings. And yoga is a great way to do that. The numbers are in your favor. Yeah. And when you get to a point where you feel good about yoga, go join yoga retreat. I'm telling you, it's like all my guy friends who've gone to yoga retreats come back with a girlfriend. Every time, like, without fail. Without fail. They're like, we ate all this great vegan food together and talked about our feelings, and now we're in love.
Well, I think like you were saying too, it's sometimes hard to carve out that time, but like if you have like an intramural league that's like every Wednesday at 6 p.m., it's like kind of like there for you.
Yeah, and it's consistent. You need consistency.
True.
That's what you really need.
I mean, I don't think that much girls play basketball, but that's my league right now.
Well, there you go. Then you do a co-ed basketball league.
Yeah.
Anybody out there? Bueller, anybody? If you're in a co-ed basketball league, let us know.
You can bring me to yoga too.
It's a basketball yoga.
Do you have any takeaways from all this?
You two just said all of it. I think don't stop doing what I do, but at the same time, I should also focus on myself. Like trying to fix myself, which I've been doing for the past year, but you know, it's a good point.
But I do want to clarify, when I say focus on yourself, it's not like me. Does she like me? Am I doing that? Blah, blah, blah. It's not that. It's more like, how can I improve my situation? If I am in control of my life, I'm in control of my emotions, what can I do to make myself better? What can I do to feel better in this moment? Dating is so much about me. Everyone always comes back from a date like, I don't know if he liked me. I don't know if she did blah, blah, blah. It's not about you, okay? It's about getting to know someone else. But when you come home, that's when you reflect on what can I do to make things better. We do have a question of the day. Shall we get to it?
Yeah.
Quickly. Question of the day comes from Jimmy. I've been dating someone really great for almost a month, and we haven't had the DTR conversation yet. Define the relationship for you newbies. I really like her, but I'm wondering if I should stop the dating apps. When would be a good time to phase out the apps, and how should I broach the subject with her? Well, Well. I would say, Jimmy, if you feel uncomfortable about broaching the subject, you may not be with the right person. Because if you feel so comfortable with her, you really like her, it's been almost a month, you should feel pretty comfortable about, hey, just to let you know, I'm going to delete all my apps. How do you feel about that? I'm ready to be monogamous with you. I'm ready to define the relationship. I would also say, sometimes we forget that we're on apps. This has happened to Julie, where you forget you're on an app and then
you delete it from your phone, but some of them makes you
oh yeah, your profile's still.
Some of them
make sure you delete your account.
Well, Hinge, they make you. Well, I don't know if they do it anymore, but they used to make you email a certain person to delete your account because they want the users up.
Right,
so.
You got to think from the app perspective.
Sometimes
they want as
you
many
might
people
still be on
there.
an app and not know you're
You
on
might
the
not
app.
know it, so also be cognizant of that. If you see your partner on an app, instead of jumping to conclusions, you should ask them, about the situation.
Right.
But I really do think if you're ready to phase out your dating apps, that's a good time to discuss it with your partner. And you should feel comfortable in doing that.
Yeah, it's like a perfect opening line.
It is. And sometimes, you know what? We talk about timelines all the time. Everyone's timeline's different. You could be dating someone for a week and say, I'm ready to cut out all the apps, or date someone for 6 months and then decide.
I also feel like the DTR conversation, you want to make sure you're on the same page with someone, but I think if you're with someone, you just have a vibe, a month in isn't that much time and people move at different paces. So I think if you're the type of person that likes to focus on one person and knows that about yourself, maybe it's not even a conversation. Maybe it's just phasing out the apps. I know from firsthand experience, sometimes it's not even a conscious thing. If you're just spending a lot of time with someone, you just don't have time to be dating other people.
Yeah.
So I almost feel at that month part, and unless you really feel compelled to have that conversation, then you can, but you also could just do what you want to do and then see what happens naturally. Obviously 10 months down the line, you don't want to find out the person's seeing everyone and you're not, but
yeah,
I don't know. I think it will come out naturally as well.
Or at least it should if you're with the right person.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I was in the same boat actually a month ago, and I actually deleted the apps. That's the reason why I deleted my apps, except for Tinder, because that's how I met her. But I deleted all of it. I didn't tell her about it because I was having a really nice feeling about this thing that's going on, and I think it was great. But now it's in a weird limbo. So
you can always reactivate them. If you're the type of person that likes to have more of a singular focus once you found someone, there's something nice about someone that will dive in and not just be constantly rotating people and meeting people at a very shallow level. Personally, I'd rather get to know someone deeper and then realize it's either going to progress or not happen. And then you can always restart if it doesn't happen.
Yeah, totally agree.
Well, that's the beauty of apps, right? They're always going to be there.
They always want you as a user.
They always want you. They'll welcome you back with open arms. And if you ever feel like you're in limbo in the situation you're in, that's a good time to think, what do I need to do to change the situation? Because nobody wants to be in limbo.
Just go for it. Honesty.
Honesty is the best policy sometimes. All right, let's wrap this up. Listeners at home, if you like to meet Quino, let us know. We'd love to set you up on a little blind date if that's something you're into. If you're in a co-ed basketball league or a beginner's yoga league.
There's a yoga league.
Yoga league.
We compete in yoga poses every Monday.
I started climbing too, so
that's a great way.
If anyone wants to blame me physically and emotionally.
Come belay me. Oh, that should be your tagline on your dating apps.
I feel like climbing gym's a good one.
Climbing gym's a good one, except the numbers are not in your favor.
No,
but a lot more men.
But you
That's
can really
true.
step up and help a girl
out. Yes. Damsel in distress. And also, if you like to be a guest on our show, we are still looking for guests for season 6. We love to hear what you have to say about modern dating.
Or I still love this topic of dating in other places. And if you have seen a dramatic shift from either somewhere else in the US or internationally, we'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, international dating. Let's take Dateable international.
Yeah.
Okay, on that note, stay dateable.
Your action item for this week is to balance out your time between dating apps and finding ways to meet people in real life. So one of the tricks we talked about was for every hour or half an hour that you spend on these dating apps swiping, you should also spend that equal amount of time searching for new activities or experiences where it could provide an environment for you to meet new people. This episode is brought to you by Making Ways. Making Ways is a podcast that shares the unexpected paths to creative careers. Just like we hear stories about people's journey to finding love, Making Ways shares people's journey to finding a career they love. You can find the podcast on iTunes, SoundCloud, Spotify, and all major podcast apps, or visit makingways.co to learn more. If you didn't know already, we have a revamped website with articles, videos, and content all about modern dating. You can also find our premium Why series, where we dissect, analyze, and offer solutions to some of the most common dating conundrums. We've had some great feedback about how actionable these episodes are, so check them out on our website or iTunes Music. Also, visit the site today to see the latest about coaching, where we connect you with Dateable-approved experts to help with everything from dating profile reviews, coaching, and even gathering real feedback about your dating style in a personalized and affordable way. To connect with us, visit dateablepodcast.com. You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, all under Dateable Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe and auto-download the podcast on iTunes or your favorite podcast player so you never miss an episode.